Good afternoon, everyone. Even in small retail outlets, limits are being placed on what you can purchase. Salvation Army food pantries seeing fewer donations because of the same phenomena. Speaking of phenomena, Canadian skies glowing. Strangeness in New Zealand last month with the summer snow, and the drought continues to amplify up until this point. Army still deployed in New Zealand. Worst drought on record. Maybe not climate change, maybe Wheeler's drought clock, or we're heading into the Grand Solar Minimum, both cycles. Airlines are flying ghost flights because they need to secure their takeoff and landing slots. Burning fuel all along the way. I guess GT wasn't told to protest this. Where are you, girl? CO2 in the air with no passengers. How dare they? And the Adapt Pack on the way to 100,000. Thank you so much. As we head toward an election later this year, the U.S.-China trade war has taken a back seat to the massive disruption in global shipping and logistics from the largest factory closures witnessed in our modern era across Asia. Brexit and concerns over cyber threats globally. Only one investment stands out: gold. Patriot Gold Group has no fee-for-life IRAs where your IRA or 401k can be in physical gold or silver. At Patriot, you work directly with an owner and avoid paying absurd broker fees. Call today or request a free investment kit. PatriotGoldGroup.com. The link's in the description box below. And if you've been out this last weekend shopping, you might have seen signs just like this limiting how much you can buy. That's called rationing in other countries. But it seems to even be hitting not just the box stores like Sam's and Costco, but now into the local retail outlets like your neighborhood supermarket, for example. Now, this is also having an effect on Salvation Army food donations. Less people are donating because they're stocking up for themselves. So now we're getting into this feedback loop here of the same things that people would donate that Salvation Army wants, canned meats, beans, peanut butter, all these types of long-term food storage items, they're being gobbled up. So less on the donation side. This is going to sweep the nation. We'll see this exact same phenomenon, not just in Idaho, but across the entire country. And again, more substitute of generic brands here, even stating that they don't know when they're going to get that name brand, quote unquote, back in, and whatever's on the shelves is what they're going to get. Now, you're going to see this generic substitution again and again and again. After that, hopefully the main producers will come back in with the name brand labels again. If not, then not really sure where the stock's going to come from. But while we ponder that, let's look up into Manitoba at the moon halo. Ice crystalline structure in the sky. I wonder if you would miss that driving home, or if you might stop and take a photo just like this. Grand Solar Minimum intensification, Southern Hemisphere, strange summer as would be expected with different flows off of the Antarctic. We saw the summer snow in Tasmania, and now just last month the summer snow in New Zealand. I'm trying to put the progression here as we're moving forward into this week. A dusting of snow, as you can see the top there, how much it was covered. But I thought it was supposed to be a thing of the past. Then we had this article about a week and a half ago coming out. New Zealand Army deploying to worst drought on record, stricken places where water is only allowed to be used for cooking, drinking, or 40-second showers. Now, the drought's said to be the worst on record. And I dug in and I found a few records going back, but it only goes back a few hundred years. It's really not too much information pulling back 3, 4, 7,000 years ago. See, this is truly the worst on record. But for the last 120 years, it looks like it is pretty deep into the record books there. North Island, you can see where the darkest red, where the most affected areas are. And coming into the record books here, 40 days will be the longest on record. The last record was 39 days, set in 2013. So you can see even just 7 years ago, they were already approaching records. You need to wonder, all right, with these records, I went back to the Journal of Royal Society of New Zealand to see when the last droughts were. And it looks like all those droughts are pretty much lining up. 1912, somewhere in that early 19-teens era. And then it got much wetter, and then it started to drop back off again. I wonder if that's a cycle. Because Wheeler came out and did a whole bunch of forecasting several years ago about the cyclicity of droughts in different continents and how you can match this up on a regular 100-year drought cycle, centennial minimums, 100-year cycles. We have the 170-year cycle, the 510-year cycle, and then multiples of those, 2,040-year cycle. So you have to really wonder, this worst on record, had it been experienced before? Because the records going back in New Zealand are kind of sketchy when you go back and look for deeper detailed information. But I've linked those reports below in the description box so you can dive deeper into the reports and do some of your own research. But where is GT, our favorite climate alarmist, favorite climate lecturer to the adults? Airlines are flying empty ghost flights. Now, airlines have to use 80% of their slots, either taking off and landing, to continue to have that same slot or the sweet spot, leaving at 10 a.m. in the morning, 9 a.m., coming back at 6 p.m. or whatever to get those prime gates and times for travel through the skies. If you go below that 80%, you lose the slot and another company can jump in on that. So airlines are flying completely empty because there's no demand at the moment. Taking off, landing, going the entire distance on these routes with nobody in them. Now, where's the outrage with this? Where is the protest, the outrage? How dare these airlines fly empty and pollute our skies? Do you hear anything? No, me either. It's a narrative because 200 of the world's busiest airports, this is happening across the planet. They're just flying empty to keep the slots open. And thank you for allowing me to bring you this type of information over the last several years, approaching 100,000 strong, the Adapt Pack. Here we go to 100,000. And it is a springtime, a time of growth, and we are going to keep it going during these strange and unusual times. And how prepared are you for the strangeness of the era? My Patriot Supply and Adapt 2030. Please remember that 2-day guaranteed shipping is long gone. They are now talking about 2 weeks to get this shipped to you at the minimum. They still have supply, but again, their orders are up 5x over just a couple weeks ago. The 2-week grab-and-go food crate, the 4-week food supply. It helps support the channel here at Adapt 2030. Thanks so much for listening, and I will see you next time.